Hello and welcome back to another video on the channel. In this video I will be reading your guys' questions and responding. Firstly, I just want to say a huge thank you for the massive support on the videos. I never expected so many people to like the type of videos I make, so it makes me so happy to see you all commenting. It means a ton to me. With that being said, let's move on to the video. Our first comment comes from Dove1 and they ask, what do you think the paintings in level 12 are, or mean? My theory, maybe pictures of a future level, or something to do with the Apeirophobia lore. Well, funny enough, this was actually a future video idea of mine, but it turns out the paintings don't have anything to do with the game lore. I DM'd the artist and asked what the meaning behind the pictures are, but they told me it doesn't have anything to do with the game. Still really cool art though. The second question comes from It's Frosty and they ask, if the shady gray was added, would it be multiple stages or just one? I assume that it would just be one level combined with all 8. I don't think they would go in a multiple stage level kind of direction. Our next question comes from Something Gaming and they ask, what other levels do you think could come in future updates? Besides the levels you already speculated. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea. There's so many that could be added, it's hard to speculate what specific levels could come into the game without any major hints. Next we have It's Just Zach who asks, if you ever had the chance to join the STAR program, would you join? And, why did you start making videos on Apeirophobia? To answer your first question, I would love to join the STAR program. I think it's a great thing that Roblox is doing. And to answer your second question, I started making videos on Apeirophobia because I really enjoy playing the game and I love the direction they're going in. Plus, it's one of the only good backrooms games on Roblox. The fifth question of the video comes from Winnie and they ask, what was your reaction when Apeirophobia was moved? Gotta say, I was super shocked at first. The whole situation seemingly came out of nowhere, but I'm really happy with how they handled it in the end. Our next question comes from Pilked and they ask, how long did you originally think it would take for you to get 100 subscribers? Well, to be completely honest, I hadn't really thought about it. I just wanted to make videos for people who shared the same interests as me. Nonetheless, I'm really glad you guys enjoy the content. Follow-up question comes from Maggie and they ask, why do you like Apeirophobia? Simple answer. It's a really well-made game and in my opinion, the best backrooms game out right now. Next question comes from Bryce Jones and they ask, will you ever talk about doors? Or something else? Maybe sometime in the future for sure, but for now I'm just going to stick to making Apeirophobia videos. iForce19 asks, objectively speaking, which level would you say is the most difficult if you are playing the game for the first time? And, what would you say is the most underrated thing about Apeirophobia? To answer your first question, the level I think that's most difficult for a first-timer is definitely level 8. I remember my first time playing and I was completely lost since it was so dark, even with your flashlight on. And to answer your second question, the most underrated thing about Apeirophobia is probably the graphics. I don't see many people talking about how good the game looks, especially on max settings. Our next question comes from Icy and they ask, what is your favorite entity in the Backrooms wiki? My favorite entity is Entity 34, the Game Master. She's an evil but really unique entity and I think that's what makes her my favorite. Up next we have Cameron and he asks, will you do gameplay of all the levels when all the levels are finished/complete? Sure, why not? I was planning on making an ultimate guide to the game that includes orb locations, fastest way to complete levels, etc., but that video probably won't come out anytime soon. Arian asks, what do you think of the idea to stun the partygoers with your flashlight? I think it's a great idea. It would be a good balance to their high intelligence. Our next question comes from Kaisai and they ask, in your opinion, should the game add a sanity bar? I have to say, that's a very strong no from me. It's a pretty unnecessary mechanic to add to the game and I don't think it's needed. The next question comes from Relather and they ask, what do you think is the hardest level in Apeirophobia? Mine is level 11 because it took me about 15 attempts to get to the next level. I agree with level 11 being the hardest. Took me forever just to pass the parkour bit. User Fish asks, do you play other horror games and would you make videos about them? I do. But like I said earlier, I'm mainly focused on Apeirophobia at the moment. In the future I might make different videos on different games. Next question comes from Windows Error and they ask, how many levels do you want to see in Apeirophobia? I can definitely see there being a ton of levels, possibly up to 50. There's so many backrooms levels that could be made, but really it's all up to the direction the game goes. I wouldn't mind seeing a lot though. Coming in with our next question is Ty and the Squad, who asks, what is your least favorite levels in the backrooms? My least favorite level is probably any negative type levels. I think negative levels are really redundant and don't add much to the lore. Also, I try not to add anyone because if I add one person I'll have to add everyone and I just can't do that, but thank you so much for your support. Next we have Bricks Productions, who asks, will you make more content of other Roblox or Backrooms games? Right now, no. I haven't seen any other Backrooms games that are as well made as Apeirophobia, so until then, probably not. Leo asks, do you think devs should add the nursery rhyme that partygoers play to slow you down? Yes. I think this would be a great addition. Would counter the fact that we can easily outrun partygoers. Our next question comes from Titaneel and they ask, are you ever going to play with your subscribers? Of course. I plan on doing a live stream in the near future where I play games with you guys and chat for a bit. Next question comes from DR Mill and they ask, what is your favorite level in Apeirophobia or the wiki and why is it your favorite level? I get this question quite a lot, but my favorite level in the wiki is level 94, and my favorite level in the game is level 7. NiceFox7870 asks, congrats on 200 subscribers, and is there going to be a last level in the backrooms? Thank you, and I'm not too sure. The game may be constantly updated with different levels. It's all up to the developers. Our next question asks, if Apeirophobia updates, will you live stream? Maybe. There's a good chance I will, but don't count too much on it. Ducky Camplays asks, what are you gonna do at 1k subs? I haven't thought about that yet, but maybe a giveaway or face reveal. Our next question comes from Stronti and they ask, how did you get your name, Tsuna? Well, it's actually a pretty boring story, but one day I was in English class and we were talking about tsunamis. I liked the way the word tsunami sounded, so I just shortened it a little and got Tsuna. Next question comes from user Poopy Pig and they ask, have you beat Daymare? And to answer your question, you know it. Cat Kitty Kitty Puppy asks, opinion on The Simpsons. Great television series, I recommend you watch it if you haven't. Next up is Kafaifa Ahmed and they ask, what's your favorite text wiki, the wiki. Or wiki fandom? I don't really have a preference, but I think the wiki. Is more reliable than the fandom. Abuzertoy asks, what inspired you to do YouTube and why? What inspired me to do YouTube was the lack of theory videos behind Apeirophobia. I didn't see anyone making this type of content, so I just decided to do it myself. I also love making theories, and one of my inspirations is MatPat from the Game Theory channel. Our second to last question comes from Julio and they ask, do you know who Candace is? Nope, I have no idea who that is. Our last question of the video comes from RO Mini Games and they ask, is Larry hot? Absolutely. And with that being said, that's the end of the video. Thank you all for submitting your questions. If your question wasn't mentioned in this video, don't worry, you'll have other chances to get your comment featured. Thanks for watching.